Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you a very simple yet extreme productivity hack that I've kind of come up with along the way. I mean, it's not a super brand new concept, but it's something that I implement when I have to take extreme measures to stop procrastinating and be productive. So let's get started. Okay, so when I'm not doing YouTube, which some of you may or may not know, I work in international education policy. And for that line of work, I write a lot of reports that ultimately get published. And it's very intense. It requires very intensive research and data analysis and writing. And usually these reports are like 50 to 60 pages. And sometimes I only have like a week or two to write it or to edit something that someone gave me that's like 60 pages. And I realize I basically have to rewrite a lot of it. So there's a huge time crunch. And definitely in those times I've had to pull all-nighters. So I'm not necessarily encouraging that. But I wanted to share this tip that I kind of developed so that when I have like an extreme deadline like this, or even when I'm just like feeling like I overwhelmed and I don't want to get the work done, like how I motivate myself. So let's talk about procrastinating. Like, why aren't we doing the work that we know we need to do? We know that we would be much happier if we got it done. We know we would get paid if we got it done. And usually it's because we're overwhelmed. And we're overwhelmed because we're afraid of failing sometimes. And in my case, it's because I don't even know where to begin, right? Maybe it's a new task. You've never done it before. So you don't even know where to begin. And, then you kind of just like start putting it off. And like just that fear of disappointing others. Like, I mean, I can literally like not even want to open my email sometimes because of that. But it's very easy to overcome, and I'm going to show you guys now. So basically, all you need to do is get like a Post-it. It could be any size that you like, or even just like a piece of notebook paper will do just fine. I personally like to write this out, but it's up to you if you want to do it digitally or use a dry erase board, whatever mechanism works for you. Now, what I do is whenever I have like a very huge task, like let's say write, a 50-page report or edit, a huge report. What I like to do is basically break down that huge task into small pieces. Okay, so what you want to do is break down that huge task that you're nervous about and just break it down into small steps. So maybe the first step is to read all the background documents. And maybe the next step is to just write like the first section, or maybe to create an outline if you don't have an outline. But if you have an outline, then you can say the next step would be like to write a draft of the first section, and then the next step would be write a draft of the second section, so and so forth. So you would write down all the steps you need to take, and then most importantly, the key step here is to assign a time frame to do it, and preferably to do it kind of in that sitting if you can, because the point is to try to just put something on paper, put this draft together, and it doesn't have to be beautiful, it doesn't have to be perfect, but the point is to just get it done instead of saying, okay, I'll maybe do this section today and then tomorrow I'll do this. Just try to do as much as you can, and then you can, once you're done, then you can take maybe the next day if you have to tweak if necessary. But the point is to assign a time frame. And usually, so I have two different approaches. When it's a task that I feel kind of comfortable about. Like I know what I need to do and I know how to do it. So there's no real thinking involved. Like it's kind of like me just having to crank out the work. Then I'll give myself a short time frame. Maybe it's like 30 minutes per task, per section that I'm doing. Like maybe I'm just editing, or maybe it's like a PowerPoint presentation and I'm just like, you know, maybe giving myself 30 minutes per slide or 15 minutes per slide or something. Or if it's something that is overwhelming because I know I need to do research for each section and I'm not even sure what I'm talking about or something like that, then I will give myself like a lot of time. So maybe I'll give myself a whole hour to work on like one page, because I know in that one page I'm gonna have to do all this research and figure out what I'm gonna say and everything. But the point is that if it's something that's overwhelming and you give yourself like an extended period of time that you realize, okay, that's pretty reasonable, then by the end of it, you look at the time that you will finish. So let's say that it's going to take you like 8 hours or 10 hours to finish like the whole task, you know, because you've given yourself plenty of time to finish everything, but you know, you're still keeping on a timetable, then you know, okay, this really shouldn't take more than like 10 hours to do. And then I think in our minds, like once we know that we'll be done by a certain time if we keep to schedule, then we're able to kind of relax and get the work done, because it doesn't feel overwhelming anymore. It's like they say, how do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time. So definitely that helps. And then in terms of like, you know, the assigning shorter time frame when you know you can get the work done faster because you know what you're doing. There's a law called Parkinson's law, and with Parkinson's law, it says that the work basically expands or contracts to the amount of time that's assigned to it. So think about like when you were in college and you had to turn in that 20-page paper and you know you waited last minute to do it. So what did you have to do? Like somehow you pulled an all-nighter or whatever, but you got it done. You got it done in the deadline because you completely focused on it and you got it done. But you had more time than that, right? You had like 3 weeks, probably 2 weeks to get it done. And so the longer time that we give ourselves, it's like we're going to take probably all that time to get it done, right? And then we're still going to maybe like stress about it in the end. But if you are giving yourself a shorter time frame, then you're able to get it done efficiently. And that, you know, by breaking it down by the steps, it doesn't at the same time feel too overwhelming. So that is, you know, the strategy that I use. And I know it may seem like, oh yeah, simple, but it really is effective because one, you get to see like the big picture about, you know, how long it's going to take you. And it's kind of like a psychological game because you feel like, okay, if I invest this amount of time, then I can get this done. And there are times where maybe I'm like overly ambitious or, you know, and sometimes some things take me longer. But then what I'll do is like, okay, I'll know that I'm a little bit behind. So then I'll just like try to catch up by the time that the next section is due, for instance. And that will just kind of help me be more mindful of time. And even if I'm later than expected, the whole point is not necessarily that you finish by the due date, unless like the deadline is yesterday and now, but it's so that you can just start, because once you start, you'll get the hang of it and you'll get it done. So it's really about tricking your mind so that you can just get going. And so even if it takes you 4 hours longer than expected, you already invested in it because you have already started doing it, and you're already in this flow of, you know, holding yourself accountable. So that is the big tip that I have. I know it may seem simple, but it's super effective, and this is what has helped me when I've had to get insane amount of work, like done in a very short period of time. And this can also work for other things. So let's say you're wanting to clean your house, right? Like, and you just don't know where to begin, you know, or whatever the case is. I mean, that's kind of like a whole other story, but, you know, definitely, you know, setting like a time frame for certain things can just help you stay on track. And also it makes it kind of fun, because it makes it kind of like a game, like, oh, okay, I have this much time, so I have to, you know, hurry up and get this done, if you like that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's my tip. And then apart from that, so once you have that going, you do have to, you know, it's all about your tricking your mind, like psychology, right? So once you have that list going, I think that you need to do whatever will make you feel comfortable to do the work. So for me, sometimes when I need to get something done urgently like that, or I'm, you know, a little bit stressed out about the assignment that I need to do, I make sure that I'm comfortable and I'm happy and it doesn't feel like I'm working. So what does that mean? Sometimes that means that I'm working from my couch and I'm working in my pajamas, or sometimes I'm working from my bed, or sometimes I'm, you know, have like a podcast going in the background or music going in the background. Sometimes I'm drinking a glass of wine, like whatever will make you feel like you're not really working but is not distracting you is definitely a good approach. Another thing that I do, but this is like super extreme measures, is like if I need to get things done, like I need to, let's say, finish a report and it's super time sensitive, like it's due like 10 a.m. or something crazy, you know, I might even like, yeah, if I wake up early to get it done, but I might even like just keep the blinds closed in my apartment so that I'm not distracted, so that I feel like, okay, I'm not, you know, there's no fear of missing out. I'm not getting any FOMO. You know, if I have like a Apple Watch on me, I won't put it on because I don't want any notifications. I won't open my emails. You know, whatever you need to do. Like if you need to order food so that you can kind of just focus on what you need to do. I mean, the point is to just make it as comfortable as possible. So I hope that this tip was helpful to you. I know they may seem quite simple, but there is definitely has proven to work for me. And, you know, for the past 4 or 5 years, I've definitely had to implement the strategy of getting an insane amount of work done. I think every year I write about like 100 to 150 pages. And yeah, this is kind of the strategy I use when I'm feeling overwhelmed and don't know where to start. So hopefully it helps. Let me know in the comment below if you found this helpful, and let me know what are some of your tips that you use to stop procrastinating and get things done. All right, I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.